Let's go to Winecup Ranch proposal for wild horse management. Chief Habitat Bay Pulliam.
Chairman, board members, I'm Dave Pulliam, the Chief of our Habitat Division here in Reno. And you have in your support material a draft letter from you guys, from the Commission to Secretary Salazar opposing the Winecup proposal. I don't know how for sure you want to handle this. I would maybe recommend that we have the discussions and stuff, and then if you agree on wording changes, that those could be forwarded to me, and I'll change the letter for signature.
We have any comments on that? I had a comment on the letter that the department sent to Ken Salazar. Are you familiar with that one?
That's the one we're talking about, yeah.
No, one that was already sent.
From the department or the
Department.
The department submitted a letter to Ken
Right.
Salazar, yes, in support of his policies relative to the horse issues,
Okay.
independent of this. This is about
Right,
your letter
right,
you
right.
wanted to.
Yeah. I just, I want to make it as strong as possible, and that's why I was wondering if anybody had any ideas on this letter. They were going to look at it. You think it's strong enough?
Yeah, no, it was, I thought it was a very good letter, Chairman.
I do have a couple of little changes I overlooked because we're
Okay.
sending very similar letters from department and commission. They're very close, and there are a couple of areas in your letter, in your package, that said something about my agency, and that was from the director to Ken Salazar, and I missed that, so we're scratching that and saying this commission.
Yeah, right.
A couple other little editorial things I caught that will be changed, but they're removing a colon and that type of thing.
They don't have a problem with that then? Commissioner Rain?
Thank you. Did you catch there was a misspelling on the last page of known? Didn't have the N on known. Last page, second sentence.
Let me,
Did you catch that typo?
I don't know that I did. The last page,
Horses are super competitors and have been no to prevent. There's no N on no.
super.
Got it?
Oh, known, yeah, I got you. Thank you.
Could you make those corrections and get it to me for my signature in the...
I will.
I'll take another look at it. Commissioner Cavan?
I have a question, Dave, in the last paragraph, it says, "This commission requests that you oppose this change." Is
Change of use, yeah.
change of use? Can he deny the change? Is he the man, or is
Well,
this-
the Secretary of Interior directs the Bureau of Land Management. The application for change of use actually will go to the Elko District Manager, who has the authority to deal with livestock licensing and terms and conditions and et cetera. But yes, this is such a huge issue that this commission decided to provide a letter to the Secretary, who directs the Director of BLM. And I might add that the department is sending is sending a similar letter relative to the Winecup also.
So Salazar wouldn't be the one that denies it, he would just oppose it?
He would basically say, look, this is not an area we want to set precedents in. Bob Abbey would probably get that word and talk to Ron Winker about the decision that would be made in the Elko District.
Funny how you can read this, and I missed that known. And
Yeah,
you look at it, and I'm glad everyone proofreads this. I wouldn't have.
Sir.
We had Commissioner Rain first.
Thank you, Commissioner. On the disposition of a letter like this, when it's named the technicality of this, now, when signed in the name of the chairman, should it also state, since it's an action item, we could vote to approve it, and have something that, commission approved this, so it's not just in the name of the chairman, it's also would be the name of the full commission? Would
Well,
that be more appropriate, or are we better off
We
just
never
leaving
do
it
that
as
in the past.
My thoughts would be that if the commission votes to approve it, the commissioner signs it. If you vote
Okay.
not to approve it, the commissioner doesn't sign it.
Would
and
it be
doesn't
stronger to
count.
have that added to it or not? I guess that's.
Well, we say this commission request. My recommendation to you would be that's clear enough
This
to
is
to
the
me.
standard form for that. We usually don't
Sure.
have things.
I may not be remembering correctly, but I thought the commission already voted in favor of the chairman sending this letter.
Yeah, we
So
just didn't-
now we're just working out the language.
I
This
just wondered
is-
if that should be written on the form or not. Just a question. That's fine.
Commissioner McBain?
Dave, with respect to if, is the process such that if they've made a request to change the use, does that have to go through the full EA process?
Yeah, well, in this case, absolutely, because the
Or even an
local-
EIS?
Potentially an EIS. The BLM would determine that, but they would need to address the application. But what they're going to find is that horses are not designated for use in that area, wild horses. So it's inconsistent with their land use plan. So if they were going to decided to entertain this, they would go through a land use plan amendment process that would allow them to either do this and through a.
So they've got a lot of hoops to jump through.
They got
to
a
get-
lot of hoops to jump through that they are, I'm certain, do not want to jump through.
Yeah.
So this would just give them support through the secretarial level down to not set this precedent of allowing wild horses in the West to be farmed like they are in the Midwest.
And I would assume that the Western Watershed Project would probably be very interested in this because they're all over the ranchers in this area, and so I would
Right.
assume that
I would,
they
yeah.
wouldn't look kindly on this as well. So.
I wouldn't think so, looking at 10,000 plus horses, and even though you have 1 million acres here, managing wild horses is a hell of a lot different than managing cattle.
Thank you, Dave. This is an action item I think we're going to vote on, but I'm going to have any public comment on it first, and we're just going to re-vote it, I think, since we have some in front of us now, and we'll just re-vote it. But let's see if we get any public comment on this. See if anyone thinks we should do anything different. Any public comments? Step on up.
Paul Dixon, Clark County CAP. Both Commissioners McBeath and Commissioner Howell were at McBeath in my word. Macbeth, you can call yourself Beth all you want.
Like the legendary.
It's a term of endearment, Commissioner. We talked a lot. We at Clark County wanted to just put on the record that we were in total favor of this letter being sent with your signature on it, sir, and approval of the board, because we've already had voted on that. Thought it was a well-written letter. We had a fairly lively discussion after the discussion of the actual letter, and I think Commissioner Howell talked about when he read that letter into the record this morning about gilding the stallions, the lead stallions and stuff, was an area that we talked about. Two other things that were talked about is that BLM tends to respond to lawsuits, and one of the things that this commission should look at is if BLM continues down this path of whether or not the commission or the Department of Wildlife actually wants to file a lawsuit, because that tends to get attention. And it tends to get the attention focused where we could have the discussions. All of the people who are the horse-loving advocates have been filing motions and suing BLM, and BLM is reacting to those things. I mean, Commissioner Capro and I even talked about the ADA stuff in the beginning. It takes a voice, and part of what really gets action is having something in the legal system that forces some decisions to be made. You can't predispose whether it's to be good or bad, but it does force that public comment and really ruling on this. The other thing that was I thought important, and Commissioner Macbeth brought up, there you go, was the fact that we've had a lot of stuff put in the papers. And I think one of the things that we are not doing well as a Wildlife Commission or NDOW right now is getting out in front of the PR train that sits out there surrounding wild horses. You have people like Willie Nelson and Cheryl Crow and others getting people like George Knapp, the investigative reporter for Clark County, to go out and film when there's the height of the bloom in the season and everything's green, wild horses running and saying, there's no problem with habitat out here. What are they complaining about when we've had 9 years of drought before that they never filmed or did things on? And I think from a PR perspective, we're doing a horrible job of getting out and putting the right message into the paper about what the damage is from a wildlife perspective. And I would encourage this commission to think of ways of getting those, working with NDOWs, those educational articles into the paper so people are reading them and letting people really understand why we need to control wild horse populations out here. Thank you for your time.
2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Did you get that no from known in the letter? Check that typo?
We did not look for typos in the letter.
I
and
didn't either, so I don't feel bad.
But you have Scott Rains, who's your best person for catching that on the board. I mean, he got all the commission policies earlier with typos. I do know that Washoe County had some comments on wording things where they caught that, plus the things that Dave talked about
If
earlier.
I sign this letter, then I'm gonna hit some more hate mail that's saying they're gonna run horses over my grave.
Yes, I guarantee you, but that may be good you have that. But I really think that this board and NDOW could do a lot to educate the public about why we've taken the positions we're taking in the letters we're sending to Secretary Salazar and others, okay?
Okay, thank you. Commissioner
Yeah,
McGee.
Macbeth.
Oh, okay.
With regard to the 2 comments, I think the PR issue is a good comment. With regard to litigation against the BLM, as an attorney, there's a time for litigation. And right now, the BLM is removing horses in the Calico area. They have been removing horses in the areas around Pioche and Caliente. Actually, full, removal of all horses from those areas. And so I look at what they're tasked with, and I think they're doing all that they can do right now. And maybe there'll be a time when we have to cross that bridge, but I don't think it's right now. I think they're out there and they're at least moving in the right direction. And this is a very, very heated issue, and I'm more concerned now about legislation, the stuff that's coming forth, before Congress, than I am about actually litigating anything. I think there's a lot of things going on in Congress that we need to really keep our eyes on and make sure that we continue to, comment and write these letters and do this on a united front, like we are doing with all these groups that are joined together, a very collective, very powerful force when it's as broad as it is. That's what we need to be doing right now.
Commissioner, just a clarification, with the pending legislation sitting out in their stuff, doesn't having a lawsuit or something in the system stay that legislation moving forward or not? I don't know the answer to that.
Absolutely not. The legislation is looking to change the Wild Horse and Burro Act. And what a lawsuit would do would be to enforce the existing act. And so at a time when you've got that much pressure on people wanting to change the law, it's probably not a good idea to add fuel to the fire and file a lawsuit that gives them more ammunition. I think that I think we're on the right track, I guess is what we're saying right now. And obviously, if the BLM shirks its responsibilities, then we should be communicating with them and making sure that they know that there are additional areas that they need to do good gathers on. And then if we get into some serious situations, where the habitat is being degraded and wildlife is actually being affected, then at that point, at some point, we may have to make that tough decision. But I just think right now is not the time.
I had a question. When the assistant director of BLM in Elko contacted me about this, and we hadn't taken a stand, and he had to talk to Secretary Salazar that night, and I knew this issue was still going because we thought it was put on the back burner in Elko, so we never took a stand. Should he get a copy of this? Because he had a hard time getting hold of me. Should the BLM, like in Elko, get a carbon of this letter to show them that we did take a stand?
Yeah, we certainly could do that. To Ron Winker, we wrote our own letter. But what they were doing, I checked a little more with Dondero, who was the one that
Right.
contacted you. They were just basically pulling together information to send back to DC. It was in preparation for his plan that he was unfolding. I can tell you that we've written a letter that the Western Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies is writing a letter, and that's for the president of WAFWA. So Salazar is getting a lot of support.
Can we make sure this gets into the BLM and Elko then,
Sure.
a copy of it?
Absolutely.
Because
We'll add
they
that to
didn't
as a
know
CC.
whether we wrote a letter or not, and they still might not, but them having a copy, they'll know that we did address the issue, and I think they should have a copy in Elko BLM.
We'll put a CC for the state director as well as the district.
Perfect. I think that'd be a good idea. Commissioner Cabral?
The director.
Yes, I have two comments. First of all, I'd like to compliment Dag Nguyen on her amicus brief that was filed with respect to the Calico gather. I thought it was an excellent brief. And I think it is extremely important that we compliment federal people like Secretary Salazar when they do something right. You know, I think that gives us a leg up on dealing with them on issues where we may have a problem.
Any other public comment on it? Come on up.
Mel Building, Washoe County. I think, I don't know what's in the letter, I haven't read it, but an EIS should be demanded, environmental impact statement, not an environmental assessment. Also, you might want to refer to the letter from the BLM to Mrs. Pickens, saying that the Winecup Ranch was not a suitable, in his opinion, a suitable place to put these feral horses. You guys give these animals a little more respect than what I think they deserve. They are not wild, they are feral. Put that on the record. So it would be good to have a copy of that letter so that you refer to the date when the BLM said that this was not a good place to house these horses.
For the record, Dennis Wilson, Nevada Bighorns Unlimited. We are strongly in favor of this letter. It was well written. We're very pleased to see the commission take this stand, and we are very supportive of your efforts on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody get that misspelling on known to known? I feel bad because I missed it. I read it.
I caught it here after.
I didn't. So I don't feel bad if I'm not the only one that didn't get that, you know, but I read it many times, but, you know.
If you knew how
Go ahead.
well I spelled, you'd know that I didn't catch it. But, Chad Bliss, Eureka County. Just to let you know, we are in full support of this letter and well written, and we support it.
Thank you.
For the record, Gil Yannick, Carson Advisory Board, we too are fully supportive of the letter that the commission is going to write. We were able to have a number of visitors at our recent meeting on Monday, and one of them was Jeremy Drew, who's really involved in this wild horse issue and provided us with a tremendous amount of information with regards to the current status of the Wild Horse and Burro Act and recommendations from various groups that are trying to come up with a solution to what we're going to do in the long run with wild horses. I mean, spending $25 to $30 million a year to house them is only going to increase every year at a population increase rate of 20 to 25%. Now, we heard from several people earlier that, you know, different ways to cut down the reproduction rate. Some of these have yet to be proven. Some of them have definite time limits. And currently, the standard says whatever you do has to be reversible. So there are certain methods that are not reversible when it comes to population control. So we don't have the answer. We don't know if the commission has the answer. But obviously, just finding more places and building bigger pens to put them in and raising the amount that we're going to be spending every year by millions and millions of dollars is not the answer. Thank you.
Big problem.
For the record, Bill Miller, White Pine County. White Pine County also was in favor of this letter, and they stated that it was well put together.
Except for one word. Get over it. Get over it.
Yeah.
Any other public comment on that? If not, I'll bring it back, commission here, and I think we'll just vote on again, even though we did, because, no, you're done, right?
Well, I can very quickly just tell you that I'll incorporate these changes we talked about. There's
Right.
a couple more moving
I'll take a very close
editorial.
look at it.
Okay?
Before,
I'm not going to change the wording. I'm going to
Send out.
change the punctuation and a couple of things that were
Yeah.
brought to my attention. So the other thing I'd like to say is that you're absolutely right. The long-term management of wild and free-roaming horses, and biologically, they are feral. Legislatively, they're wild and free-roaming. So, but until the answer is really in implementing the intent of the existing act that allows for adoption, it allows for, if you cannot adopt, to sell, it allows for euthanasia. The problem is politically the BLM has not been able to take that on, and until they can actually go that next step to where this can become actually an industry, dispose of horses that are unadoptable, until we recognize that the law is there and does allow that and get the political support to do it, this program for BLM is going to be eating public funds forever without a real solution. So just
Unless we-
a thought.
livestock associated people find a use for them.
If you would, please adopt more of them, we'd be happy. Anyway, I'll do that, and with your vote, I'll do what you need to do.
Donald, Nevada Livestock Association. Yes, South Korea, horse meat's $40 a pound. But these, the ranchers, well, like the Hage decision was elk coming in onto their range. And the same thing is with horses. It's the same deal, the same case law. The only thing is, you can't find a rancher out there with guts enough to spend 20 years in court. The horse problem could be solved the same way. But that's the problem right there.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to bring back the commission. Do we want to do a motion on I'll accept a motion on the letter with the corrections on it, and I'll make sure I reread it for punctuation before it goes out. Commissioner McGath?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the letter with the changes that have been noted to Dave Pulliam.
Do we have a set?
I just have a suggestion. Now that you alerted me to the typo, if
Did I miss something more?
it might be better to say horses are super competitors and have been known to prevent wildlife from accessing water and to decimate forage. So.
Say that again. They have been known to prevent access to water?
No, to prevent wildlife from accessing water and to decimate forage. I think that just makes it stronger and less confusing.
And it really conforms to the brief that we prepared and sent to
Yeah,
Washington,
that
D.C.
sounds okay to me.
Okay, I'll update my motion to take into account that change.
Where'd Dave go? Did he get that?
Dave's not here.
Oh, there he is. Any problems with that change?
No, I updated my motion to include the change that New read into the record.
And I
Okay,
agree on the second.
we have a motion to make those changes. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Who did?
Commissioner Cavan.
Commissioner Cavan, second. We have a motion second, and I'll make sure I read the letter more thoroughly, I guess, before it goes out. But you read it over and over, and it just, have a motion second. All for the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.